I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. It's time to go over the last 10 cards that I haven't talked about yet. The site that I normally use is having a little bit of an issue today, so we're using the official Hearthstone card site. To talk about all these cards. The next card up for us is we're going to move on to Hunter. And the first one up for us is Ricochet Shot. And Ricochet Shot is a 1 mana arcane spell for Hunter that says deal 1 damage to 3 random enemies. Now, the way this is written, and the way that I'm reading this, that if you don't have anything on the board, this is 1 damage, deals 3 straight to face. So if your opponent has no minions and nothing else, this is 1 damage, deals 3 straight to face. Because it doesn't say deal 1 damage to 3 different enemies. It says deal 1 damage to 3 random enemies. Now, if you have nothing on your, if your opponent has nothing on the field, then this still only deals 1 damage. This is horrible. But if it deals 3 damage when there's nothing on the field, this starts to become really good. The problem is there's so many times where there's something like left on the board, and it's just gonna ping weirdly. Like if you've got a 1/6 on the board for whatever reason, this could hit all 3 to that. It could hit 1 to that, 1 to the face, and 1 to like another 1/2 on the board. The randomness is this is weird because a shot can always go face. Again, I'm not sure how the ricochet of this works. If it can go face, then face, then face. I mean, the way that it's written, even if there are other minions on the board, if you're just kind of doing like an arcane missile, it's how arcane missile used to work. Because the way it's written, it's kind of how arcane missile used to work, where it just dealt 1 damage to 3 random things. So it could all go face. It could go 1 to a minion, then 2 to face. I mean, the way a ricochet shot would work, the way, like, story-wise would work, is it would hit 3 different things. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about doing 3 damage for 1. But, again, I gotta see how this really runs in the game, because I gotta see how the ricochet really works. So I'm giving this a tentative 3 damage for 1 is never bad. Next up for us is Conjured Arrow. Conjured Arrow is a 2 mana arcane spell for Hunter that says deal 2 damage to a minion. Mana Thirst, draw that many cards. This is such a weird card because even on Mana Thirst, you're not that happy about it. You kind of want to deal the 2 damage to face and draw if you can. I mean, if you can pump this, and there's some ways to pump this, and we're going to go over that in a second. You can draw more cards. But on turn 6 to draw 2 for 2, that, I mean, yeah, that's fine. But by turn 6, which is when the Mana Thirst comes in, there's some stuff out there that, you know, dealing 2 damage is like the weakest thing that you can do. So basically, you're using this as a draw engine, and yeah, I know that like Hunter doesn't have that many draw engines, but I'm not sure this is the draw engine you want. So I'm giving this, unless you can figure out a way to get rid of this really up, it's not worth it. Next up for us is Eversong Portal. Eversong Portal is a 4-mana arcane spell for Hunter that says summon 1/4/4 Links of Rush, improved by spell damage. Now, what I've been told is on this card is that when you improve this with spell damage, it summons 2 links. And then 3 links, and then 4 links, and then 5 links, and then so on and so forth. If that's true, this card gets really busted really fast. Because all you need is 1 arcane damage on this, 1 extra arcane or spell damage. And you're summoning 2 4/4s for 4, which is like how this has to be. Problem is that if you can't get this buffed up for whatever reason and you play this and you have no buff on it, it's not that great. And, you know, there's some stuff that's going to buff this up, but not a lot yet. Next up for us is the Silver Moon Farstrider, which is part of this whole arcane spell damage stuff. So arcane Silver Moon Farstrider is a 2-mana 2/3 that says give all arcane spells in your hand plus 1 spell damage. It's coming down on 2. You're hoping you have a good hand on 2. And then you're basically trying to get all your arcane stuff to do a little bit more damage. And what's really nice about this is as soon as you play this out, it can die and you don't care. And you're going to have the ability to throw 2 of these, which is going to give you more arcane damage. So, I mean, if you're going to run the arcane package, I think you're going to squeeze this in. The only time it fails you is if you have nothing in your hand. And I'm not sure Hunter has the ability to run a heavy hand deck. They've always had issues with hand buffs, so, I mean, I want this to work. It seems very interesting to make this work. But I'm just not sure they can play a heavy hand. Next up for us is the Brightwing, the Howl Run Brightwing, which is the legendary that's supposed to bring all of this together. It's a 3-mana 3/4 that says Battle Cry, give all arcane spells in your deck plus 1 spell damage. This is going to be the high roll annoyance of so many people. If you are playing this deck, you are playing all arcane spells, or as many arcane spells as you can throw into this. And you're hoping to grab this on 3. If you see this on 3, and you're playing all the arcane spells that you can throw into this deck, it makes everything just ridiculous that's left in your deck that's an arcane spell. I'm just not sure there's enough arcane in here. I mean, they're putting in arcane spells for this. Like, here's arcane, here's arcane, here's arcane. And this is arcane too. You know. But, you know, like, this doesn't work with the arcane plus damage, even though it's an arcane spell. It discovers a spell from your deck. if it's arcane, give it +1 spell damage, but it itself doesn't have, giving this +1 arcane spell damage doesn't do anything. So like the arcane quiver, giving that +1 arcane damage doesn't really do anything. But it's a card you'd want to play here just for the arcane. You'd have to figure out if there's enough arcane spells to make this work. I mean, this card is ridiculous if you can get an early game. This card by itself can almost snowball you a game. I'm just not sure you have enough arcane yet to justify it. So I will give that a, weak now, maybe scary later. I will have to go through and look now and see if there's enough arcane to justify that later down the road. Next up for us is going to be Twisting Tether, which is in the Warlock spells. Twisting Tether is a 4-mana shadow spell for Warlock that says, destroy a minion, give its stats to a random undead in your hand. It's single target removal, which Warlock is really fun with doing. There's a card in Paladin currently that does almost the same thing, where it takes the stats off of something and puts it onto your one minion in your hand. That leaves it with 1/1, but it's the same basic deal. You need an undead in your hand to run this, and that's the crux of this entire problem, and if you have undead, then this is great. You're going to be playing down something scary. If you have any undead, for just straight up kill, it's just fine. So I'm going to give this a 4 for kill is fine. Undead makes it sweeter. Next up for us is going to be Shallow Grave. Shallow Grave is a 2-mana, no school Warlock card that says trigger a friendly minion's death rattle, then destroy it. This is basically the spell version of Baron. Baron Geddon. Not Baron Geddon. Is it Baron Geddon? The 1/5 thing that triggers death rattles twice. So this is basically triggering a death rattle twice. And that's if it doesn't have any like Reborn or something on it. But this is basically letting you destroy a... So you're basically using it on something where you want the death rattle to go off. You're basically saying let it go off twice. Right now, I do not know what death rattles you want from Warlock. As far as I can see, there's not a good death rattle for this, and this is part of the problem with some of the other stuff that's going on with Warlock that we'll be talking about in just a second. Because the next one that we're going to be talking about here is this card here, which is Devourer of Souls, which says after a friendly minion dies, gains its death rattle. It's a 1-mana 1/3. 1-mana 1/3 have always seen some sort of play. There's not been a time where 1-mana 1/3 hasn't seen some sort of play. But again, I'm not sure there's death rattles to justify this. And because of the fact that I haven't seen the Death Rattle still work with this. I'm not sure how this is coming into effect. If you're trying to make this card happen first, and then have this come down the road, or you're trying to have this happen first with the Shallow Grave, and then you're trying to finish it off with the Devourer down the road, or you're trying to get the Devourer down early and then cast the Shallow Grave on it. So basically at this particular point, I'm not sure how you want this to work, because I'm not seeing the Death Rattle that you want off of this yet. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm not sure what that. I've looked through a lot of the Death Rattles, and there just doesn't seem to be a Death Rattle that's worth throwing in here that isn't a very late game Death Rattle. Next up for us is the Infantry Reanimator. Battle Cry, resurrect an unfriendly undead and get it reborn. This card's not bad. It's a 6-mana 4/4. You're going to be playing this in an undead deck. You can basically kind of like work around what you're getting for the undead, where you can just have like a few undeads in your play session, and then just get this back off of this. I mean, basically what you're looking for off of it is this guy here. So you can bring him back, and then rush in for the damage. But, I mean, if that's the best you're doing with undead at this point, I mean, that's, right now, might be the best undead card, sadly. I mean, because there's another undead in here, and we'll have to look at some of the undeads when I finally do the final reviews here. When I go through each class. But there doesn't seem to be a good undead that I want at this point. Next one up for us is the final card that came out for us, which is the legendary for Warlock, or one of the legendaries for Warlock, which says, which is Drakthar Groundthrower, which is a 8-mana 6/6 with lifesteal. At the end of your turn, deals 6 damage to the enemy hero. So it's a fireball, it gains you life off of that fireball, 8 mana, it's only going to survive 1 turn. By 8 mana, again, you have to be playing something that wins you a game. Again, I'm not sure where this is winning you a game, how this is winning you a game. This whole Death Rattle package, I don't see enough Death Rattles in here. I don't see enough undead in here. The undead seem to be in weird places. The Death Rattles seem to be in weird places. I mean, it seems like there's pieces here, but it doesn't seem like they put enough together to make a set. At least for this. Anyways, those are all the cards that have come out. That is, every card that has been released. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the patch. And then Wednesday I'm going to talk about Death Knights a little bit. And then Thursday I'm going to be doing all 11 class reviews. So, if you want to come by for that, you're more than welcome. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.